It took the government to have Parliament reconvene 3 months. And in 3 months, as we wait to have your business discussed, to ensure that we have oversight on the many important issues that are affecting you, it took the government 2 hours to complete today's sitting. And very important bills are up for discussion. But more than those bills, very important matters are to be considered for discussion. We heard, for example, one where MP.Dexter, minister, spoke of corruption on the questions that were asked by the opposition. And even admitting that our arguments are not based on data, she said that. They don't even have data to justify the claims that there is no corruption in this country, when they themselves, the Minister of Finance in his budget presentation, the Vice President no less, and the President himself have all committed to establishing anti-corruption agencies. So if there is no corruption, why are we setting these agencies up? This is not a government in power 2 days. This is a government in power for over 3 decades. And here we have now these very important matters to discuss, and 2 hours we are completed, including discussing matters of corruption, energy security, and so many things. It took the government to have Parliament reconvene 3 months. And in 3 months, as we wait to have your business discussed, to ensure that...
Good afternoon, everyone. This is just a quick live. I just wanted to come and to really report to you what I believe we should all become very worried about in Guyana. So we have just completed or concluded Parliament. Over 100 and something days of the House not being called, Parliament not being called, government not being held accountable in the National Assembly. That Parliament session lasted for a little under 2 hours. And the Parliament, there's no date set as to when Parliament would meet again. But what is interesting, and I was sharing with my other members of Parliament, what seems to be the most important thing for government, or for the PPPC's government, is money. Now, over 100 and something days, no Parliament. Before Parliament, the House, because they have the majority in the House, they passed a budget of over $1 trillion Guyana dollars. Now, you are not even 6 months into spending over $1 trillion, 1.55 something trillion dollars. They then bring a supplementary paper for 54 billion Guyana dollars. Imagine, you just passed trillions of dollars, over $1 trillion and something dollars. You're not even 6 months into it. These people bring a paper to seek more money again of $54.5 point something billion Guyana dollars. Now, you listen. It is clear the opposition members or the opposition side in Parliament does not have the amount of votes to shut down this type of wanton spending that seems to be going on with this government. They have the majority in the House. And the purpose of this short talk, I want to be honest with you, or people of this country. The parliamentarians alone can't hold this government in check. I'm telling you. It is the people. If the people of this country rise up and hold a united front, I mean, put politicians aside. I know sometimes there is noise about are the opposition parties not working together, etc., etc. Listen, that is only one part of this, you know. That is only one part of this. The only people that can really now topple this government and bring them in check are the people of this country. We all have to come together and we all have to put a stop to this nonsense. Imagine, you can't even, now, there is no public accounts committee. I explained on a previous live what the Public Accounts Committee does. The Public Accounts Committee is a committee within the Parliament, which are various representatives of the House come from, and they question, interrogate the spending of each and every item, of each and every ministry. And you don't have that. That committee is completely dead. So really and truly, there is absolutely no oversight committee which will look at how monies are being spent in this country. How can you come back? And it's so here is my talk. Here is my thought on this. The PPPC's government is only interested in money. And that is the only thing they will convene the parliament for. Now, yes, they pushed in a few first reading of bills, like the Guyana Development Bank bill, which, of course, you already know that we are going to support initiatives like that, because if it is meant to give and help small business owners and medium business owners in giving loans at lower rates, we will never withhold support once it's structured properly. We'll never withhold support of that. Now, they brought another bill like the hire purchase bill. Now, that hire purchase bill is only one particular clause is being changed, given jurisdiction. So now you can clearly read the act and say you can bring a claim whether in the High Court or in the Magistrates Court. Now, the bills that this government is bringing, save and except the bill pertaining to benefits for presidents, I don't see that there will be much challenge to those bills, because those things are not things that you will have a very hefty debate over. Now, you had today, we submitted, and this is what is worrying to me. Again, listen, I know this social media thing, sometimes it backs politician off, because sometimes when you give very objective comments, you know the PVP people, they are out there and they talk all kind of thing and make all sort of, and they sometimes fail to really be reasonable and be honest to themselves. Now, we submitted an oral question to the House that was submitted to the clerk, and that was going to be passed on to the Speaker. And the Speaker had to make a ruling. I know that the PPP people come for share just to put us on notice with their supplementary paper for more money. And we anticipated that is what they were coming to the Parliament to do. So we had the shooting of this 19-year-old. We have a lot of unanswered questions or concerns in relation to what is it that government is doing in terms of through the Ministry of Home Affairs, in terms of protocols and so on, in terms of the protection of our people and so on. Imagine the Speaker ruled that question or all the questions that we had in relation to those things will not be asked. He said it's important, but it's not urgent. You know, there were other questions in relation to certain structures which will benefit our people, and which we believe that our people it's more inherent towards the protection of our people. Those questions were not allowed at all, and it worries me. It worries me. You know why it worries me? Because Guyana cannot be only about one set of government spending monies. It can't be that alone. It has to be, governance has to be broader than that. Governance has to take on a responsibility in which all sectors, all arms of government, they are working, and they are working at an acceptable rate in which our people and their lives are better. And I just wanted to come on this live and really let you know that if you really sit by and think that this is the work only for the opposition, the 12 from the APNU and the 16 from WIN against the PPP, you are sadly mistaken. The PPP's government is not interested in hearing anything substantial from that house. The Parliament has totally been reduced to just another forum for you to go. You dress up, you take out pictures, ploops, ploops, you walk in, you sit down, and you listen to people throw insults over the floor from side to side. Listen, I didn't say a thing in Parliament today. I didn't heckle. I didn't, because I was just sitting there, and I became worried in the house. And, as a child, growing up as a teenager, I have always admired parliamentarians, and I've always admired the Parliament, and I have always viewed, it was always my honest opinion that Parliament being such one of the highest offices in the country, in which legislators meet and they really debate, have consensus, broaden perspectives, etc., so that our lives as citizens will be better. I don't know. I'm very emotional about it. I'm very emotional about it. It's like we live in two different Guyanas, where I am able to to see the ordinary people, and I'm able to listen to some of their concerns. And it's like when you look at another set of the persons, it's like these are the bourgeois of Guyana, and it's like they are really out of touch with what are some of the real concerns of our people, and it saddens me. It saddens me. I don't know. I have to be honest with myself. I don't know. I will do my best whenever I'm given an opportunity to represent the interests of our people. But it's like I don't know how long I can put up with this. I call it a puppy show. You know, I don't know. I really and I am not trying to throw blame at one particular person, but in total, I see Parliament where it's going. The Parliament, the legislative branch of government. I am worried. I am worried, Guyana. I am telling you, I'm worried. I'm worried that we are not serious. Mind you, I said we. You know, I'm not going to leave myself out. I am a parliamentarian. But I don't know. People are talking, and it's like I am just slate for the lives of each and every person in Guyana. This is how we're, you know, the disrespect and the manner in which you know, they just throw. And listen, nothing is wrong with some what I call healthy heckling, where you may make crack a little joke. Sometimes when you sit for all those long hours, you know, sometimes it's good to have that type of spice. But not because everything done and said in the Parliament, being that it is totally privileged, it's not because it's that you know, we just throw all sorts of insults, and it's not me. It's not me. And I fail to see the sense of it. You know, I just during the budget I did make some in answer when I believe that some of the lines of what the government side, what they were saying, it was totally against my conviction and what I believe, and I raised my voice at it, especially when there was an attempt to really totally wipe out any type of contribution of Lyndon Forbes, Samson Burnham, and I thought that no, that there was a lot of positive in what the founding leader did, and we can't wipe away that. And I made certain comments in terms that I believe it was rooted in research and deep ideology and philosophy of what was done and how it benefited Guyana, and but I cannot see myself becoming personal against other members of the House and calling all sorts of names, and I can't, because to me the time period in which we are in Parliament, it is to truly be serious and to put all our heads together to make sure at the end of the day we come up with something that is policies and laws and regulation that will truly benefit our people and our country. That is how I envision what Parliament is supposed to be. I don't envision that it's a jokey place at all. And so it worries me when I see what we have, what the House has become. Sherrod, the honorable member Sherrod Duncan was was justifiably late today. Was justifiably late. He had an emergency, a family emergency, and he was a bit late. And even though, I mean, when you saw him when he came into the house and he sat down, you could tell from his face, you could tell that something was wrong. And, you know, it was his time. He still made the sacrifice. And these are things that I really do appreciate about our team. Sherrod could have stayed away. Let me tell you, as I understand parents to work, when things go wrong, you know, sometimes you just have to put everything aside and you just have to be there when family duties call, especially when father duties call. And he recognized that he has a responsibility. Our constituencies, they have entrusted us with that responsibility. And so he left his wife and he came. And he came because some of the questions, Sherrod basically takes responsibility for the Ministry of Home Affairs. And so he had a number of questions that he wanted to propose in relation to governance, in terms of governance, in terms of what's happening in the police force, etc., and so on. And, you know, there was a little unfortunate back and forth between himself and the speaker. And, you know, and I felt as though even as the government side, they were just trying to make it look that, you know, we have been calling as opposition for the parliament, and look, he's not even here, you know. But things do happen, and that is why he was late. But more importantly, Parliament cannot be only about meeting in a formal place to make requests for monies. Can't be about that. And that's all I believe the PPP will do for the next 5 years. They will not advance anything of substance other than spending of monies. All right? Because the few bills that they have brought to the House now, those bills are not going to take a very long time to debate. I am telling you, the points I believe are going to be very short. But there are other burning issues, and they're not bringing the burning issues for our people. Issues in relation to police excesses, issues in relation to the cost of living and in terms of what's happening with our people, issues in relation to a proper plan in relation to how they're building of various infrastructure, and the issue of the drainage system, and going back to flooding and all these. We are trying to allow government to push them into that proactive mode in which they can be more prepared. People can't for the next 5 years stay and punish. They can't. And we have a responsibility, because they're the government, we have a responsibility to call them out, and we have a responsibility to push them. We have a responsibility to ensure we represent the interests of the people. $1.555 trillion passed in a budget less than 5 months ago, and already there's a supplementary paper for 54 point something billion Guyana dollars. Wow. With no public accounts committee to justify how that 1.55, the biggest budget in the history of Guyana, how is it that they spent that money out? Nothing to justify. The Public Accounts Committee, when they start, The last, I believe, they were making checks at 2018 or 2019. So I don't know when they are going to get. By the time this government's term is finished, they will still not get to 2026 to justify that the largest budget. How they spent it. Man, look, listen, Guyanese, if we don't really get serious, and you know, sometimes I ask remind people, this is not free money. All the monies being spent are not monies that we have in an account. We are also borrowing. And so somebody has to repay that. And the repayment will have to be us, this generation, the next generation, and the next generation. There is nothing like free money. And so we have to make sure this is something that while government is managing it, this is a responsibility of the citizens of this country, your taxes. So while you can say that your taxes are going to go towards better infrastructure and improving lives, a lot of it will have to go back to repay loans. Because at the end of the day, we are spending billions of Guyana, trillions of Guyana dollars, and there is absolutely no accountability. No accountability. You and I cannot say how this money is being spent. Every project we see, look, they're going to build, I believe someone had it up on Facebook, they're going to build a station, 200 and something million Guyana dollars. And I'm sure if we take evaluators, property evaluators, to a lot of those properties, those properties don't even meet $100 million. I'm telling you, I went to the Anna Regina new station that they built. Huh? Look at the amount of millions of dollars to build that building. When you walk into the building, there is absolutely nothing special about that building to say, okay, it is uniquely built. They have used some of the finest building materials, and it has embraced some of the most modern forms of technology. I am telling you, when you look at that, it's a bare shell. That building, I am sure, can't cost them more than $80 million. And you got buildings 400 and something million, 500 and something million. Where are all this money going? Where? And then you do not have the Public Accounts Committee, so at the end of the day, they can account for all that money. We have to as a people rise up against the PPPC's government. That is the only way. This is not the responsibility of the opposition parliamentarians alone. We alone cannot do it. The fight has, because you see the construct of the parliament now. The construct of the parliament is that they're not wasting time. They're coming in, they give you 2 order papers. This is the supplementary paper. We want more money. The speaker writes the house. The clerk announces clearly that the parliament has now adjourned to whenever date. No date is given. We are in trouble, Guyana. We are in trouble. I'm telling you. We are in trouble. We are in trouble. We are living in a country where this government will spend without any form of accountability. And that, to my mind, is very, very worrying. Very, very worrying. Very, very worrying. You know? So I just wanted to share with you what I believe was a total disappointment in our meeting today. After 100 and something days of no parliament today lasting for less than 2 hours. And Parliament, we don't have another date when Parliament is going to be. I predict that Parliament will not, they are going to maybe call Parliament maybe in another month or so, and then they will have the second reading of those very short bills. But more importantly, they are going to come to pass the supplementary budget, which is the 54 point something billion dollars, because that is really what they came to Parliament for, more money. They come to Parliament for nothing else. People are dying in this country. People are having a hard time surviving with the high cost of living, high fuel price, etc. And we couldn't sit down as a parliament and deliberate on how we can really put our heads together as leaders, and really come up with good plans to really protect our people. The only thing that I am proud about today is the Prime Minister's report in relation to the ICJ with the Guyana Venezuela's dispute. I am, as a Guyanese and as a patriotic Guyanese, I continue to support, just as our party is supporting every fight against Venezuela. And so we applauded. As you would notice, there were loud applause in relation to the work of the honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Todd, the Attorney General's support, the former minister, his contribution, all the members, the team, our legal team as well as our foreign relations team when I'm talking about the former minister, I'm talking about former Minister Carl Greenidge, and then the team that went up for the foreign ministry. We are proud of them all for going to the ICJ and presenting Guyana's position. That is something that will never have a debate against that fight at all, because it's all in our interest. What we have represented as a party is that we believe more should be done locally and internationally in highlighting Guyana's position. And we talked about, our leader talked about various diplomatic channels in which we can use. So those are our only setback when it comes to government's approach to the Guyana-Venezuela dispute. But really and truly, our presentations, I listened to some of the presentations, and they were very good. And that's not something that we are going to withhold support, because it's in the interest of all of our people. So that was the only thing I think that I believe that was commendable in the House today. That while it was short, the Prime Minister's report on that was very good, very, very good. And recognizing the contributions of many of our people, our very proud Guyanese. But outside of that, what is there? There were questions being asked about modernizing our anti-corruption laws and or law. And that in itself went to a different argument, and that's because at the end of the day, there is more insults than actual substance in relation to when you're going to bring a legislation to modernize that, because we believe there's a lot of corruption as it is with the government. in terms of what they're doing, their spending, etc. At all different levels. I mean, if you're not talking about corruption, look, you fired 9 REOs one time. I mean, what is going on? You know, those are things we wanted to talk about and have some form of understanding what is really going on. And so we were hoping that the questions and the probing will get to some answers as to what's really happening in Guyana. But those people with their majority in the House, they came fully prepared to shut every other question and every other link to any other follow-up question down. And they're only interested in the issue of monies. But Guyana, thank you, and let us continue to be very focused in this country. Let us continue to be very alert as to what is happening. And let us all be very concerned about the high level of spendings in this country, because those spendings they go unchecked. No checks and balances in relation to spending. And that is why I believe as a people we are being shortchanged from the parliament level. There's no public accounts committee, as I said, to be able to deal with or to have any type of scrutinizing of spending. And really and truly, it's the PPP's free for all. It's a free for all. Lots of money is in this country, and it's just being spent. No checks. But I thank you, and I will continue to update you as to what we're doing as we move along. But I just wanted, it's a short live, I just wanted to share. You know, sometimes it's good not to just bottle things up. And that I was having with our MPs, and they all saw how very distraught that I was today. And you know, of like this is it. This is how we are really governing the lives of our people. I'm worried. But thank you and stay safe.
I am very disappointed in the conduct of the National Assembly today. I want to put that on record. I'm very, very disappointed in how business was conducted in the House today. Now, after more than 3 months, after more than 110 days hiatus of the National Assembly, the government came and in 2 hours rushed the first reading of 6 bills. We had 10 oral questions, 30 written questions. Now, after 3 months plus, we ought to have more business in the House to conduct. And I would argue as well, the length of time does not articulate the number of, the quality of the engagement. But I was keen to observe, the Speaker said, we have exhausted the time for questions. The National Assembly convened at 2 o'clock, and by minutes to 4, the House was adjourned. It went into the Committee of Selection for the appointment of committees. This is after being in operation for more than 8 months. The life of the National Assembly began in November 3rd, 2025. And we are now, 8 months later, operationalizing committees. Now, operationalizing committees just means appointing the members. It doesn't mean that those committees are actually going to meet, because the committee's meeting depends on the speaker calling that meeting of the individual committees. The only committees that have met so far is the committee of selection, right? And then you have when the House goes into committee to discuss the budget. So we don't know when is the next sitting of Parliament, the National Assembly. And we don't know when these various committees, statutory committees, will be meeting to give oversight to any number of issues that affect this country on a daily basis. And that is shortchanging Guyanese. And I am extremely disappointed that a country that spends billions of dollars every day cannot find the time to meet for any lengthy period, for any consistent period, to discuss the business of the people and to interrogate issues. I've noticed we've had a national flood recently, and not even that found its way in discussion today. We deserve better. We deserve better.
Charging people with corruption in the courts with. That's why you have a number of cases in the courts, including to do with a certain offender that is in the court right now to do with corruption. And I find it highly ironic that a member of parliament of that side that knows about the case and is sitting next to the person that's involved in the case is raising an issue here about anti-corruption. Seriously, Mr. Speaker. I mean, there's a disconnect somewhere. There's a disconnect somewhere, psychologically maybe. So, Mr. Speaker, we are constantly reforming and renewing of senior officials. Please look at the table that Minister Onejo-Walden put in this House today, which shows a number of cases on corruption in which all of them are people from the opposition and took place in the last 5 to 6 years. So, Mr. Speaker, the court, the prosecutors are working, the agencies are working, and in fact, the system is right at the judiciary. Number of cases appealed, dismissed, appealed, and so on. And we have the big one we're all waiting for. Aren't we waiting for that one? I'm sure we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
The prevalence on the members of the parliament on the other side, they're not reading, they're not looking up stuff, they're just looking, cherry-picking as to what makes Guyana look bad and what makes the government look bad. The prevalence on the members of the parliament on the other side, they're not reading, they're not looking up stuff, they're just looking, cherry-picking as to what makes Guyana look bad and what makes the government look bad. The prevalence on the members of the parliament on the other side.
Corruption is a vile disease that sucks and drains the health out of something good. Corruption in society is an evil moral infection that keeps community in a state of perpetual sickness. Corruption is a moral virus. It's so potent it leaves its host sick, lethargic, and unable to realize and accomplish all that a well person can. Where corruption thrives, poverty and not prosperity thrives. Wealth is grabbed into the greedy, grubby hands of those who get fat on the toil and labor of good people. Corruption benefits, only temporarily, those who participate in it. Everyone else is a victim of the theft, the deceit, the dishonesty, and the lies that corruption feeds on. You need to know that a corrupt person is stealing from you. Corruption is filthy work and despicable acts of treachery done under the table and behind closed doors. Corruption is a disgusting shame. Corruption keeps a nation back from true development and from progress. Wise investors steer clear of a corrupt environment. They would rather put their resources into a place where the playing field of opportunity is equal for all and not bent towards feeding the financial lust of corrupt, lying, cheating, thieving politicians and government officials. How many wonderful development projects have been lost because the investors didn't want to do business in a swamp of evil? When those great projects go to another nation or to some other place, we all lose. Believe me when I tell you that corruption steals from you, it steals from all of us. Corruption plunders the nation's wealth. Corruption people compromise on truth, equity, and fairness, choosing instead to feed off the short-term benefits of crookedness, exploitation, and financial perversion. Corruption is not just a personal matter. It's a culture. It's a way of life, not just for individual people, but for companies, communities, governments, and nations. Corrupt nations, hiding behind large companies, will seek to invest in other weak nations in order to take over the assets of the nation that they've invested into. They will provide financial loans to a nation for the much needed infrastructure, and they will do it with assets that they provide. They will sign contracts by lining the pockets of rotten government officials who participate in this kind of corruption and are then held hostage by their own deceit and greed. Corruption is nothing less than a form of theft and national robbery. A corrupt person steals from everyone in society. We all lose when corruption is rampant. Those who participate in corruption have chosen evil over good, lies over truth, and personal gain over well-being of all. To be corrupt means to be rotten. When meat is corrupt, it's rotten, and it stinks. Rotten meat can't be eaten. When a person is corrupt, he's rotten and unfit for a place in the community. A corrupt person should be jailed in order to protect society from the vile deeds of the corrupt person. Government should be protecting us from the foul results of corruption instead of being the proponents and participants in corruption. When corruption is systemic, when it's a culture and a way of life, when corruption thrives, it destroys the health of the community and nation. Now let me tell you something. Defeating corruption is a very difficult thing. The love of money is the root of all evil, the Bible says. People who love money will do almost anything to get it. Those who choose to stand up against corruption, you need to know that we're going to be involved in a war. We will be threatened, vilified, intimidated, marginalized, and ridiculed. These kind of people who stand up against corruption will often feel alone, as if they are the problem instead of the solution. Corruption can only be defeated when enough people have had enough and decide to do something about it.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Ooh. Breaking news. Ministers and government officials. This is from your corruption and stealing's the land from the poor. Yeah, yeah. Corruption must go. Corruption must go. I'm speaking to infants, Ali and Jack Dio. Didn't you hear the poor people crying? Didn't you hear the children suffering? Oh yeah. Corruption must go. Corruption must go. Living in your mansion, creating corruption, preparing and getting ready how to steal the poor man's lands. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. There is no rules and regulation in this town. It's a wild, wild west, moving on the ground. Look at border market, we are vendors getting trampled on. While you driving by in your fancy car and smoking your big cigar. Oh yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Corruption must go. Corruption must go. Corruption must go. Education